Greetings, everybody. So I'm currently waiting outside my dentist. It's Saturday morning today, doing a bit of a later one in the week. Um, yeah, I just got to go in and see the dentist stroke hygienist as my sort of regular appointment. So yeah, about to have my mouth prodded with metal instruments. Not something you may have wanted to know, I don't know. But before I begin, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I really do have a shave. It starts to get itchy when I get sort of this level. But I tend to not bother for a couple of weeks and then think, oh, I've got to shave again. Anyway, you didn't really need to know that, but I thought I'd throw it in there. This week, I've just been thinking about C++, which, maybe in some cases an odd thing to think about. When I left university, went into my first few roles, I think I've said before, it was all C based, and then went into C++, right up until the early, probably, I think I was doing it up until around 2013, 2012, no, just before, about 2011, because I went in to be a Scrum Master at that point. So I was doing it from the mid 90s through to 2011, just C as my primary driver, with a tiny little bit of C# and maybe a sprinkling of Java. And then from then on, although I did a few different roles where I didn't do much coding, I went on to do predominantly Java, a C# and some Python. And even today, I'm still looking at C# and Python and Java in the roles that I do. But I was thinking about C++ because that was my learner language, as it were, which it's not the first language I learned, but the first language I did commercially. And although you may think, what do you think about C++? Not the easiest language, not the most difficult one either. But I just think about it because several years ago, I actually started to look at C++ again for an interview that I did. It's probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And at that time, I noticed there'd been like up to 2017. I think 2020 was on the books, ready to come out or something like that. But it was 2017, and I saw the difference between them. I did have like for each, for example. And then I know it's up to version 23 now, if I remember correctly. So I was just thinking about it, and I was thinking, I wonder if you can, because I've done a lot of web APIs in Spring Boot and in ASP.NET. I thought, I wonder if you could do it in C++. And so I went on to Copilot, as you do, typed in, can I write an web API in C++? And it said, yes, you can. You can use, I think one was called Pistachio or something like that. Some of those lines. One was Crow. I thought, you know what? I haven't done C++ for a while. I used to really enjoy doing C++ in the day, so I'm going to start looking at C++ again and get back up to speed, maybe create a web API or two in it. So yeah, this week has been mostly me thinking about, or this last 4 or 5 days have mostly been thinking about C++. That's around things like TerraGrant and AWS and stuff, which I do as a daily driver now in work. But yeah, so C++, I don't know what you guys think of the language. I mean, I absolutely loved the language when I was working in it all the time. It was powerful enough to do many things, although it can be, I mean, to be honest, you can make code a lot more simple. It depends on how you code it. But a lot of the code, it can look very complex, especially if it's come from originating in something like C and then into C++. Or you write something that's being very memory efficient, or has to be something that's like maybe embedded. It can get a little bit more complicated where you're, certainly messing around in the memory locations using pointers and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I absolutely loved the language personally, and it's just, when you're working in, say, C# or Java, where you don't have that low level part that you can do, sometimes it can feel a little bit restricted. But yeah, as in Java, C#, not C++. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what you guys think. I say may, put some videos up of my relearning C++, maybe. I used to have a course, I did probably about 10-12 years ago in C++ at the time, and this is where it was a little bit more kind of, it was more the basic stuff. Maybe I'll look through my own course. But yeah, C++, language I did many years working in. Everybody at the time in the early O's wanted people with C++. It seems to be a lot less these days. It seems to be more Java, C#, and all that kind of stuff, which is probably why, I've not really done a lot of it, and why I've done predominantly work in things like Spring Boot and say ASP.NET. But yeah, and Python, of course. But yeah, C++, a language of love. Loved, I should say. So yeah, what do you think? What language do you enjoy using? Do you think do you enjoy C++? Do you enjoy Java, C#? Let me know in the comments below. Right, I'm going to head off now. I'm going to go and get my teeth prodded, and then maybe later I'll get back onto my second love of C++. Bye for now.